All right. It's 2026. I trust everybody had a fun, safe, happy new year. New year brings new, fresh feeling, new, fresh perspective. I'm excited. I think we've got some articles we're going to show you today that is doing a little predicting and showing what 2026 should look like. But any quick thoughts about fresh start, new year?
The phone's
Well,
ringing again,
I'm
man.
gonna give you one that's just broke this morning. Everybody should have gotten an email from Florida Realtor News. It hit my inbox at 6 a.m. There are new forms that have come out from Florida Realtors that will be in form simplicity as of 9 a.m. this morning. Most of them are minor changes. We'll be talking about them as the week goes on, but please look for that email, go through it, and review them. Welcome to the new year with Florida Realtors.
There you go. Dave, you were going to say something quick.
I just said the phone's ringing again, man.
I love that. All right. Let's get these numbers up and start there.
Real estate's like going to the gym for the first time, the first of the year. It's going to get real hectic for the next 45 days.
Well, I don't disagree with that. Hang on, I'm on my laptop, so my window's not working. There we go. All right. Here we go. Okay. So January 5th, we do a last 7 day tracker, right? And so this includes the end of the year closings, end of the year expireds, but it also includes any front running. And I love, I got a bunch of text over the weekend of people texting me, I'm on my first listing appointment for 2026. So I think there's quite a few listings coming out the gate, right? Um, so it looks like we went to 586 on active status changes in Broward County. 98 went under contract over the last 7 days. We have 102 pending at the moment, and we had 198 close out in the last 7 days. So I'm actually kind of curious about this closing number because I expected it to be higher at the end of the year. However, let's talk about realtor behavior. You don't all close your listings out while you're partying on New Year's Eve. And my suspicion is there's a lot of closings that are not in that number. Uh, Tell me I'm wrong.
We
We'll
can't.
know next week when we see that number.
All right. 36 expired. Um, I don't know if I'm zoomed in too far here. Hold on. Well, there we go. There we go. 365 expireds. So if you're an expired listing agent, this is your money making moment. Like this is your fourth quarter shot, your game winning come out the gate. That's a very large expired number compared to a normal month, like the end of November was 158. So huge numbers on the expireds, obviously. A chunk of these will relist. All right, so that was Broward County single family. Here's Broward County condos. We had 629 coming out the gates on active, 75 active under contract, and then 78 went pending and 146 closed out. Same comment. It doesn't feel as high as it should have, and I'd still believe there's realtor behavior inside of that number. Maybe we'll refresh it next week and take a look at it. 627 condos expired at the end of 2025 in Broward County. I mean, y'all talk to me. That's a big number, is it not?
There's a big inventory. It makes
Yeah.
sense.
Okay.
It's huge.
It's
It's
huge. All right.
opportunity.
All right. Let's get down here. Miami-Dade, 458 on active status changes. 46 went under contract as single family. 92 are pending, which is a little bit off. We've got 157, same comment. I'm hoping that's a realtor behavior number. It just doesn't feel like as big as it should have been. 309 Miami-Dade single family expireds. Miami-Dade condo, 567, 49 went under contract, which is probably healthy for that week. 74 pending, 137 closed, 744 expired. If you've never called an expired listing, I think this is your moment. In a TCPA friendly way, check the do not call list and all that stuff. Um, that's a big number, is it not?
Hmm.
All right.
And respect the
Uh,
source. Respect the source of the expired too. If it's an agent in your office or someone, I would definitely target your area of genius or area that you're best at. But there's plenty out there, not to step on toes of the people you see at the coffee maker.
there you go. All right. Palm Beach. Palm Beach single
Hey,
family.
Rick, hey,
Yeah, go
excuse
ahead.
me, Brett. Rick, can I just chime in on that? I
Please.
think that, there's something to be said about addressing the person in the office or at a different office in KW and just asking them, hey, would you still like to get paid on this? Or do you think you have any chance? Or can I take and I'll give you a referral fee? Give me the info.
That's an excellent idea, especially if they know it's a foregone conclusion, they're losing it, and you're
Correct.
possibly a more powerful, more compelling alternative. That's a great idea for partnership. Beautiful point. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Palm Beach single family, 641 active status changes. Back to realtor behavior. I think y'all are real up to get your listings into the MLS and not as fast as putting closings through. Just realtor behavior over a few years, I've noticed. 112 under contract. We've got 82 pending and 207 closed. So that looks a little better, but I still think there's a lot that didn't close out that has closed. So we'll take a look. 319 single family Palm Beach. There was 123 the month prior. So almost three times, right? Um, if I go down to Palm Beach condos, we've got 542 active status changes, 79 went under contract, and 47 went pending, with 127 closed out and 429 expired three times. So I guess the question is, do three times the number of listings expiring versus a normal month, end of month expiration, is that higher or normal? How do we feel about that?
I think that's typical year-end stuff.
Okay.
People, yeah.
You don't think it's a little higher than typical?
Again, I think that looks at when you're looking at the inventory, there was so much inventory. Everyone puts that last day of the month, last day of the year. I don't think that's unusual. I mean, I think that if you go back and look several years, percentage-wise, it would probably be the same thing.
Okay. Richard, you've been studying the stats here
Yep.
longer than me. What do you think?
No,
Jackie, you're on here.
expireds for January 1 take a huge spike up from any other time of the year. And this is exactly what you're seeing. One of the numbers that stands out for me for all of this in all three counties was the number of under contracts. While it was a little bit less than what we've seen over the last month or so going back, it's really hopeful that realtors didn't totally shut down between Christmas and New Year's as they have in the past. And there are serious buyers that are out there wanting to go under contract.
Hey, one last thing, Brett. Our file for expired leads in the Inspire network under resources was full. So I had to create a new file for 2026, and January 2nd for all the counties, there was 2,800 expired and canceled
Okay.
on the second.
2,800.
2,800.
That's a lot. All right. Moving on. Articles. Actually, let's go to this one first. This one is coming off of Housing Wire. And Housing Wire is saying 2026 housing market forecast. a more balanced market comes into view. What took me it was a couple things. One, um, they're showing the short recap. We've talked about this on the last call, but just to reiterate, the 10-year treasury is back down to almost 4%, which is really good for mortgage rates. And the spread is getting closer, which we want the yield between the 10-year treasury and the mortgage rate to get closer. It was pretty wide there for a period of time, and it's starting to close that gap, which is good because we can predict mortgage rates at a better place. Um, Here we go, the spreads. You can see the spreads in 2023, December was 2.75%, meaning the mortgage rates weren't are directly related to the 10-year treasury, but they also track how far apart they are. And they move together, and that's what I mean when they're saying directly related. But you can see in 2024, the spread came down to 2.26%, and we're right at 2%. Anybody know historically what that spread usually is?
I want to say 1.75, but that's just what's stuck in my mind.
I can see Rick talking to Chat GPT over there. I think it's right at 2%, 1.75 to 2% is usually the
1.5 to
I,
2.
1.5 to 2. Okay,
I
so we're
should
at
have kept my phone
2.05.
down low. I would look so freaking smart right now. I'm not smarter than Chad.
There you go.
Just saying.
All right. Existing home sales. And this one's seasonally adjusted. But I was looking at this and I didn't know my emotions around this. So it looks like we are right at the same level we were at like 2010, 2011, and there was a brief moment right at COVID that came to this level. But prior to that, it was 1997 levels in terms of how many home transactions were happening in the United States. This black line, while it's showing November, it's probably a baseline of the population of the United States and how many people have a forced need to move in real estate. So where does it go from here? Well, everything's going to go up from here. So we believe home sales are going up in 2026. I'm going to show you some predictions of what the experts are saying here in a minute. And I've been joking for a couple weeks now. It's all over the board, but at least all of them agree it's going up. That's the good news. Um, but we pretty much are at a not a historic low because there was less population in the past, but we're at a historic low in terms of baseline around. I don't think the United States could transact less than 4 million transactions just on a natural basis, meaning people having to buy houses, people having to sell, all the D words we talk about. So we're going up next year. What's going to happen to home pricing? Most people are predicting very moderate to minimal gains in home pricing over the next 12 months. There's probably some pockets that might predict minimal to flat decline in price over the next 12 months. And I just remind people, um, nobody buys a house to sell it a year later. So as long as they're staying in, right now the average is like 8 to 10 years. So anybody that buys a house today and sells it 8 to 10 years from now is going to be really happy with price appreciation. If somebody's buying a house today and selling it a year from now, that's probably going to be an uncomfortable conversation. But anybody buying a house today, selling in the natural progression of when people buy and sell houses, they're going to be really pleased with that purchase. And that's really where you pull out the home price appreciation graph. So if you go in here and let's see if I can find it, median sales price. Where is it? All right. Um, well, let me go to the national one. The national one has the line on it. This is where I'd put this chart in front of anybody buying real estate. So yes, if they happened to have bought a house in 2006 and had to sell it in 2010, 2011, they probably weren't happy with it. But anybody that bought a property 2009, 2010, 2011 was very happy 8 years later when they went to sell that property, right? So you take the moment in time and fast forward 8 years. This was the only moment in time in the last 30 years, 40 years, where that 8 year plan didn't work in people's favor. But ever since then and going forward, that's going to work in people's favor in terms of price appreciation. Make sense? That's why I'd have this chart laminated in every presentation I used. Thoughts?
I always present that to my clients who ask me how's the market. I said this is depends if you want to gamble, or not. But if you're not gambling, 10 years from now, you will make some money out of that.
I also think I'm thinking of the newer agents who seem to be falling into the trap of working with, and I say in air quotes, investors, because there's a lot of people that maybe have flipped one house who are trying to purchase property now at discount rates. And it's not the time. I don't see it as the time for investors, obviously, especially with this chart. And I'd like to use this chart really with the newbies that are getting caught up in working with people that are calling themselves investors that keep lowballing and not following through with a contract because the numbers are not working for them and they're never going to work, and convincing agents that they need to be working with people that really want to buy primary homes.
Nadine, I'm sitting here thinking about your comment, and I agree with partial of it. I think big box investors maybe, but small investors, I would buy investment real estate today. Um, I have my very first rental property going free and clear this year.
Okay.
And I bought that property in 2005.
Okay.
And the question is somebody's going to buy and hold for an extended period of time. I think one of Gary Keller's famous quotes is nobody ever loses money on real estate only if they sell in a down market, right? Like as long as they can hold on and hold that real estate for an extended period of time, they will always win in real estate.
Yeah, I
And
agree. Oh, I'm sorry. I agree with that part of it, but a lot of them are working with people that want to literally flip within a year or,
I agree with that.
yeah,
Flipping is probably
not the
uh,
time.
not as prominent, but buying and holding, I think, is always a good strategy.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, you have to be so much better at the flipping game than the buy and hold. Time takes care of mistakes in the buy and hold. If you, again, to Brett's point, sell at the right time.
Right.
Yep.
Yep. All right. And then so Trump's housing policy, is this an X factor? I know we've talked before, but the Federal Reserve chair is going to be replaced in 2026. It's going to be a hot topic in our industry come about April, May. So be aware of that. All right. This is the one that gave me a little bit of a chuckle. It says experts agree a rosier market is coming in 2026, but specifics vary. So, a couple of the taglines are more sales. Yes, we agree there's going to be more transactions next year. They're using the term stubborn rates. What they mean with the term stubborn rates is the rates are going to fight to get down as close to 6% as they can, but most people predict the rates won't get into the fives in 2026. So we may see a couple moments in time where somebody might get a five, or a high five, I should say. Um, but more than likely, it's going to be between 6 and 6.25 for most of 2026. Home price growth, we talked about that. It's going to be hyper local. It's going to be some areas are going to go up. We know South Florida is predicting 1.5% price appreciation next year. There's a lot of the country that's predicting 1.5 decline, and I've seen some areas predicting 5% decline. So we're probably sitting better than most in home price appreciations. But this was the chart that gave me the chuckle. So the 2026 forecast, they put NAR's predictions, Zillow's predictions, Compass's predictions, Realtor.com's predictions, and Redfin's predictions all within, I'll call it 3 to 4% more transactions next year. And then NAR comes out of the blue and says 14%. Um, I I just don't know, and I'm assuming that's Lawrence Yun. Um, and I think he's a really smart guy, so I'm not discrediting him in any way, shape, or form. Uh, I just don't know if we're going to see 14%, and I will celebrate him when we do.
If you
But
look at
His
everybody's predicting
his
price
basis
or
is
home growth.
based on an interest rate reduction and the impact of that years past, and it's a long time ago. And there's just dynamics that I'm not sure that others seem to be taking into consideration with consumer confidence and affordability that maybe he's just pie in the sky, but I don't think his, point interest rate wise is going to create that double digit return or improvement, but we'll
Yeah.
see. Anywhere in the
Uh,
middle is great though. Positive, you've got to start first step to the second step. And I think growth and improvement's a great thing to look forward to.
and Rick, I didn't prep you for this, but we recorded a Mojo Monday that went out this morning that talks about this locus of control, this psychological concept. Can you
Yep.
give me 30 seconds, 60 seconds on that?
Well, there's internal and external factors, and people that reflect in the external tend to live in the narrative that's outside of their body and their head, and it affects their energy. And it kind of comes down to controlling the controllables and recognizing the opportunity you have and not letting the outside noise affect you. And so,
And I think the market's going to be what the market is. And professionals that have an internal locus of control um, know how to go create their own reality based on whatever is externally there, right?
1,000%, you nailed it.
All right.
Good morning.
Um,
Good morning.
good morning.
Maybe the NAR is looking at the reducing property taxes. So maybe they say, well, with this reduction, maybe we're going to have increasing sales and price also.
Yeah,
So maybe it's
it could
that.
be. The other thing that I believe I read, and I need to fact check, but I think NAR predicted 14% increase in resale, not new construction. And I think they're putting their 14% increase in resale against everybody else's total prediction,
Mhm.
which NAR predicted, I think it was 3 or 4% increase in new construction. But Daniel, you're right. I think that was speaking a little bit to what Rick was talking about is they're taking a lot of factors into consideration, like tax reduction and banking on interest rates coming down.
What I
If it
hear,
happens, we'll be excited, right?
yeah, wonderful. It will be excellent for everybody.
Well, and the biggest piece
Thank you.
sometimes comes down to consumer confidence and someone's willingness to take a risk. Earlier it was brought up that, you know, people that are long term are likely to more embrace risk. If you're thinking short term, it's a little scarier to decide whether to pull the trigger if it's not an owner occupied home that you plan to live in for an extended period of time. So I think consumer confidence this year, based on a lot of the media and news and the energy around safety, security, and optimism, as we continue to grow in that direction, that's going to factor into that. And I don't know that that's as easy to pinpoint on a graph from history,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of there's things that don't normally happen that are happening in the world right now. Is that fair to say?
Yep. This was the other article on Housing Wire. It said, why most buyers hire the first agent they talk to. Many experienced buyers reported interviewing multiple agents before making a decision. Yet, I don't know if this is self, I don't even know the word I'm trying to say, but Zillow's report talked about how a large percentage of buyers end up hiring the first agent they talk to. And we've talked about this in real estate for a number of years. I think originally the concept was speed to lead. Um, but I also believe it's not 100%. But I think, the agent that returns calls quickly, is pretty prompt when they get DMs, they get texts, they have autoresponders, they answer their telephone when the phone rings. Those agents probably get more business just from those habits than others do. And this article is speaking a little bit to that. Most of your internet aggregators track response time. And the reason they track response time is because of this article here, is they know the first agent that gets to those buyers typically sells them property. And maybe you should take a lesson from them and say, should my response time be a focus of 2026? Thoughts?
Should always be the focus.
Yeah.
It amazes me the number of people who just don't answer their phone.
Yeah.
True.
Well,
Well,
look left and right. If you look left and right and feel like you're as good or better than most of the agents in your market area, and you're not dominating your market area, it's because you're not having the first conversation.
Yep.
all right.
Now, the other part of this, Brett, I think it's the third line down on here. No, scroll back up a little bit. It says at the same time, repeat buyers now account for the majority of home purchases. Guys, that's dealing with your sphere.
Yep.
That's dealing with past clients and your database in talking to them. They're not calling anybody else if you're top of mind with your database.
Excellent point.
Great point. All right. 9 ways to become a real estate expert in 2026. Number one, master the micro markets, not just the market. We probably say that on every one of these calls. Like, we are reporting the market on these calls, but your job is to be the expert in the micro market. And the micro market could be condos in Palm Beach. It could be a certain neighborhood. It could be a lot of different micro markets. However you draw your line around your micro market, but you've got to be the expert in that micro market. Um, Track data weekly. I love this. This is why we do this call for you guys. We do the one thing that we don't necessarily look at every week, and maybe we should, is absorption rate and showing traffic. But we've got all this data every time we jump on this call for you guys, and that's why we do it. And you know, Gary Keller, it had to be 20 years ago. I was in a mastermind with him, and he said, listen, to be a top agent, to be an expert in real estate, you've got to be looking at the numbers on a weekly basis. And that's never left my head, in so much that that's why we do this call every week, right? Um, Learn to explain the market in plain English, build a signature expertise, um, be everywhere online and in person. We've talked about this last week with my Jake Paul horrible analogy around attention gets you paid. Uh, Surround yourself with smart people. Congratulations to you. You're on this call. Become a source for others, and then build the reputation of someone who helps, educate without pressure, answer questions with patience, provide clarity, communicate what's true, not what's convenient. And the ninth one is stay curious, not cocky. What do you think?
I
It's a
think some
straight
of
out of Watt 1000, right? This is your whole branding right there.
Yeah.
I think we know lots. The question is, what are you going to do? How is this going to be applied? If it without application, it's just curious trivia.
There you
So get
go.
serious and apply it to your day plan and your strategy and your mindset, and then execute. It's a people puzzle.
There you go.
You only
Uh,
need one or two extra contracts a month to change your entire world.
I would encourage you to download this article from Circle and read it. And then I would also encourage you to download this one and go through it. This one talks about 26 how-tos to future proof your business in 2026. And I'm just going to read the headlines. The first headline is listings. That's an age-old future proof for real estate. Now they've got AI as a headline. They have lead generation as a headline. They have marketing as a headline, and they have social media as a headline, and then habits um, and real talk. Those are the headlines of what they're saying with 26 different points inside of this to future proof your business in 2026. And, most people, I think, turn the year and have already written their business plan or already gotten geared up for 2026. Yet these are good articles to download and just kind of fact check your plan as the year gets going. This is uh, embarrassingly, this is probably the first day most real estate agents have worked this year. And I don't say that in any other way than we're almost 5 days into the year already, and I think the hungry people were working already. And I, like I said, I love the text I got over the weekend of people saying, "Hey, I'm on my first listing appointment." But I just find some of these articles you could throw it into Chat GPT if you have a lot of experience with Chat GPT and say, grade my business plan against this. Where are my gaps? You could just read the article and highlight two or three things that say, man, this needs to be a focus for me this year. And I am really excited that 2026 is here. Second thing is, I think if you have anybody in your world that is connected to Venezuela in any shape or form, it's certainly a moment in time that you should give care and concern. And it would be a really good database touch point to just call and do some care calls, guys.
Can I add something real quick
Yes,
too?
please.
That's a big deal. Thanks for sharing that. I'm teaching in the Coral Springs office this Wednesday. I'm going to speak at the sales meeting as a setup. And then from 1 to 3, I've got some content that's going to absolutely light you up. I'm excited. Can't wait to meet people there and make some new friends and connect with some friends I've now had for a few months. So if you're available, and I think there's plenty room, so please join me. Appreciate that. And by the way, that 26 points to 2026, that's not just an article. That is literally a library of videos and content relative to those topics you mentioned. I went down the bunny hole of clicking. That's like a full day on your business, something to consider. So if of all the articles today, that might be the one to pin and save and go back to regularly.
Yeah, and I don't think we've got Boca and Boynton on Circle just yet. So we're going to get those articles all emailed to Mary and Aaron, and we'll make sure everybody gets copies of all this.
Fantastic. Thanks,
All right,
Brett.
guys, have a good one.
Appreciate all you do.
Bye.
Thanks,
Thank
Richard.
you.